gorgeous. Hope you're having a great day. It's such a pleasure to see you. I have an amazing purple eyeshadow palette to share with you today. This is from ColourPop. It's the All Amethyst palette. It retails for $14. You can find it in Ulta stores, and I will have it listed and linked for you below in the description box in the event you would like to try it out for yourself. But I wanted to share with you up close what this looks like in an application today. I'll show you a couple looks that you can create with it and give you an overall review of it. And by the way, the look that I'm wearing here today uses this palette, so I will be showing you this look at the end of the video. Unfortunately, my microphone on me. For whatever reason, when I went to go, I actually filmed this video entirely already. This is my second time filming it. When I put the first video in post, my audio was in and out, in and out, in and out. You couldn't understand what I was saying, but I didn't want to get rid of the footage. So what I'm doing is I'm going to walk you through the tutorial that I've already filmed for the look that I first created with this palette, which was absolutely amazing. So let me show you how to recreate that look first. The first shade that I took from the palette is This or That. And what I did was I used it to define the crease. And the brush that I'm using for this step in the process is the Sedona Lace EB09. And I kept this shade specific to the crease. I didn't really go outside of it. Now it is a little bit of a darker shade to work with in the crease, so you really do not need much. And that is one thing I will tell you about the eyeshadows in this palette. Incredibly pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way, especially with these darker shades. And so I took some time to blend that into the depth of the crease. And then I went in with this eyeshadow called Feb's Gem, and I used that to blend out the harsher edges of This or That. Now what I love about this palette is that there are a lot of cool tones in here. There are 8 cool tone shades in this palette, 1 warm toned. And that's the shade that I'm using here. And when I say warm toned, I'm talking about purple eyeshadows that tend to have a more red leaning look to them. Cooler toned purples are a lot easier for a majority of people to wear as opposed to those more red pinky based purples that can be a little troublesome to apply and wear. After I felt like I got the right blend between the 2 shades and there was a nice gradient fade to the brow bone, I went back with my blending brush. There's nothing on this brush at this point, and I used that to diffuse any harsh lines, soften the edges, and blend everything towards the brow bone. Next shade I used from this palette is the one called High Grade. I initially attempted to apply this wet onto the inner half of the lid, and that worked okay. The way that I did it was I piled it on a brush and then I spritzed it with the setting spray and applied it like that. And it did apply rather nicely, and I did it that way because it is more of a shimmery eyeshadow, but then I also applied it with my finger and I got a greater intensity of color payoff. And so that would be the way that I would best recommend applying the shades on the top of this palette, because they do much better with a finger application as opposed to a brush application. They can be rather powdery when you're using a brush, and they're not as pigmented with brushes. That was my experience anyway with the top row from this palette. Then I took the shade Royal Affair and I used this on the outer third of the lid, and I blended it back into the shade on the inner half. I also used a little bit of this on the outer V to help add some definition and give the look a more cohesive blend all the way around. By the way, the brush that I used for the outer V there is the one from AOA Studio. It's their E128. It's that brush that's part of the 10-piece collection that you can find on the Shop Miss A website. $10 for the entire set of brushes. Well worth it. It's still one of my all-time favorite brushes for outer V work. And then to finish up that look, I also used that same shade Royal Affair to line my upper lash line. I don't know if I showed this as part of the tutorial, but that was how I completed the look. And then in this part of the video that I'm going to show you here, I'm talking, you can't understand what I'm saying obviously because I'm cutting the audio out, but I was simply describing how I completed the rest of my face. For my lashes, I used the pair Angelic from my lash line. I'll have them listed below if you're interested in them. For my cheeks in this look, I used Marin's Cream Cheek in the shade Shell Pink. Beautiful cream blush that goes perfectly with purple eyes like this. On my lips, I used the LA Girl Ultimate Stay Auto Liner in the shade Nonstop Nude. I combined that up with e.l.f.'s Creme lipstick, and I added a little bit of MAC's Shy Girl over the top, which is what gave me that orangey nude combo on the lips. And all together, I mean, this look came out amazing. It looked absolutely gorgeous. And I cannot tell you how happy I was with this palette. That was the first look that I created with this palette. And I will tell you that the eyeshadows are a little powdery, and I don't remember ColourPop eyeshadows being as powdery as these are, so I was a little disappointed to see that. There is some fallout with some of the darker shades, so in that instance I would recommend doing your eyes first, doing your face last, so you're not messing up your base makeup and having to do a lot of cleanup and all that. But with the exception of the powderiness and having to apply that top row either wet or with your finger, for the most part, the pigmentation was pretty amazing with these eyeshadows, and I was really happy with the color story because it is so hard to find a color story like this of cool toned purples. Really, really, really hard. And at this price point, no less. Let's not forget to mention that. Now for the look that I am wearing in today's video, this is another really gorgeous look that you can create with this palette. Really simple and easy to do. The way that I created this one today was I took the shade Crystal Crazy. I used that first to define the crease, similar to what I did in the last tutorial. And then I brought that down onto the lid. I added it to the outer third of the lid. I also added that to the inner third of the lid, and I made sure that I left a blank spot right in the middle of the lid for the highlight that I'm going to be adding in at the end. I also went back with Feb's Gem, that same pinky purple shade that I used in the other tutorial, and I used that to blend out the harsher edges of Crystal Crazy in the crease. And finally, once everything was blended and it looked pretty well put together there, I went back with the shade Trigonal, which is the most gorgeous lavender sparkly. Oh, it's just, oh, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I don't have any eyeshadows that are this color, but it's amazing. I applied that directly into the center of the lid. Now this is one that you can apply dry and it looks amazing. But when you apply it wet, it is intensified. When you apply it with your finger, it is intensified. The only complaint I have with that eyeshadow in particular is that it has all these little sparklies in it and they don't really apply like they should. They disappear more or less. So you get the color on your lids, but you don't get the glitter that goes with it. The glitter does not stay, unfortunately. But the look is gorgeous nonetheless, and I absolutely love this halo look with this purple eyeshadow palette. And then for the rest of my face here today, I again used the Marin Cream Cheek in the shade Shell Pink, which is absolutely beautiful. And then for my lips today, I combined up the Flower Beauty Bare Pout lipstick with e.l.f.'s Creme. I'm trying to think of what else I used. I think that was it on my lips today. Oh, I think I may have used a little bit of the LA Girl Nonstop Nude liner with that too. So that was how I created the look that you are seeing here. And my lashes today, by the way, are authentic from my lash line. I will have those listed and linked for you below in the description. Also, if you are interested in checking them out. If you have tried this palette, let me know your thoughts on it. I have to say I was very happy with it, even though it did have some little minor issues with the powderiness of the eyeshadows and some of them not applying solely as a dry formula. There was a little bit of struggle there with a couple of them, but for the most part, really impressed with this one, and I would highly recommend checking it out if you have been looking for a cooler toned purple eyeshadow palette. Let me know your thoughts. If you're interested in it, I'll have it listed and linked for you below in the description box. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to watch. Look forward to seeing you again very soon for another video.